Welcome to the Titan platform demonstration. The Titan platform is available at the titan-codes.platform.eu, where will you be greeted with the screen that you are seeing here. The first thing that you have to do is to agree the terms and privacy policy of the platform. And then you can access the platform by clicking the Access Codes button that is located on the center of this screen. You will be greeted by a login screen where you have to put in your credentials like your username and password and click Sign in order to enter the platform, to log in into the platform. When you log in into the platform, you will be greeted with a welcome message with an offering to start the tour of the user interface. You can do that on your own. Let's close it for now. The user interface is divided into two main sections. One is the sidebar that is on the left on the screen, where you have access to the various components of the Titan platform, and the right section of the screen where each component is displayed. When you log in, you are greeted with the codes, which is a component that you have to use when you have an article, when you have a piece of information that you want to analyze with the help of the codes. Other components of the platform include the critical thinking, where you can take a critical thinking assessment questionnaire so as the system has information about your critical thinking skills level. Other components include the Academy, where you can find media literacy material related to this information. And finally, there is the collaboration component, where you can collaborate with other citizens in order to collectively analyze documents and create argumentative maps. Suppose we have an article, a news article, that we want to analyze with the help of the Titan codes. What we have to do is to copy its URL to the clipboard and go to the Titan platform, select the codes, and load this article via its URL. So let's click this button, paste the URL into this entry field, and send the URL to the Titan platform. If this fails because the site does not allow the Titan platform to access this article, we have to load this article manually by providing the title and the text. So let's go copy the title and the text, and let's start the conversation. We have to wait a little bit for the text to be sent to the Titan platform, to be analyzed, for a dialogue to be designed, and loaded to us. Typically this takes a few seconds, about half a minute. It depends also on the length of the document. Okay, the dialogue has started. We can see on the right hand side of the screen the document, the article, the data that we have pasted into the Titan platform, and on the left side we can see the greeting of the dialogue. So the dialogue just welcomes us and provides a disclaimer that the presence of disinformation signals does not necessarily mean that the article is disinformative, so it's a decision that we have to take, and we should always remember that this is generated based on AI, and it gives us some commands we can write into the prompt in order to stop or further explain or translate the dialogue, and ask us a question. That disinformation can appear in different ways, and whether we would like to see an example. Let's press yes. And it greets us with an infographic that says that conspirators have evil motives, and give us an example. We can read this and we can get some information about the motives of conspirators. And of course it says that this is not related to the content that we have provided, and proceeds the dialogue by asking us if we want to collectively check with the chatbot the reliability of the article that we have shared with it. Let's answer yes. It provides some micro lessons that we can see at our own pace. And it has a first discussion point, and it gives us information about conspiracy theories. So it provides what a conspiracy theory is, and tries to inform us, to give us some information about how we can actually identify conspiracy theories by listing a set of signals that we can detect in the natural language that we have given to the platform, like a nefarious intent against the public, the suppression of truth by conspirators, the inside knowledge and anonymous insiders, the unfalsifiable claims, secret plots by powerful groups, and prosecuted victims' heroes, and suspicious accounts. It can provide also some micro lessons if we want to learn more about this, and then it proceeds by posing a question. Does it claim that powerful groups are secretly planning something behind our backs? So I have to read the document, I have done this, and I have to reply to the chatbot. Let's reply yes. The article seems to imply that. The article actually says that there is a conspiracy by the World Health Organization, by governments, by the United Nations, in order to destroy humanity. We can see that the dialogue proceeds with giving some reward. It tries to assess if I have answered the questions and try to give me some encouraging in order to proceed with the dialogue. You are right on key point. You are right to observe that the article suggests powerful groups are orchestrating something behind the scenes. It specifically names the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the Big Pharma, as part of this alleged plot to reduce the world population. However, the article doesn't provide concrete evidence to support this claim, relying heavily on the statements of Dr. Nichols, who is presented as an insider. Does it mention a secret group is planning to harm or deceive the public for their own benefit? Let's answer yes here. So it continues with the conspiracy theory and asks us another question. You've got it, you are absolutely correct. The article does portray a secret group scheming to harm or deceive the public. It paints a picture of the World Economic Forum and the rest of the organization working together to reduce the global population. However, keep in mind that the article presents these claims solely through the perspective of Dr. Nichols without offering any independent verification of evidence. It's worth noting that while the article mentions Dr. Mike and the Club of Rome, it primarily relies on Dr. Nichols' assertions, which should encourage you to approach information with a healthy dose of skepticism. And then he presents another manipulation tactic. It presents us information about trolling, so it wants to give an explanation what trolling is and some signals that can be used in order to detect trolling. Then asks us if we want to also discuss this parameter, this aspect of the article that we have brought. We can select yes or no. Let's select yes. Then it poses a question: does the article or post make extreme or exaggerated claims just to provoke reactions? I think yes. So let's notify the chatbot about this. And we can see that the dialogue has finished and it has provided a summary of our discussion, what are the article main points, and the dialogue history. So we can see again that it has assessed the fact that I have replied correctly into the question that I was asked, not I was correctly replied with something that agrees with the chatbot beliefs, that I have provided an answer that is coherent with the question that I was asked. You have identified a really important aspect of this article. You are spot on in saying that it does make extreme claims, particularly regarding the supposed plot by global organizations to reduce the world population. The article relies heavily on Dr. Niels' assertions without offering much support, evidence, and things that we have already discussed. And this concludes the dialogue. Thanks for your thoughts. I really appreciate your engagement. Let's wrap it up all in a summary. And it provides a summary about this article, and it says that the verdict that we have done with the chatbot, what it is, should be read with extreme caution. This article, while it presents information, it heavily relies on the claims of a single insider without providing corresponding evidence. The narrative employs several disinformation signals, including conspiracy theories, claims of nefarious intent of powerful groups, and the presentation of information as suppressed truth, leading to a heightened risk of spreading disinformation. And of course, some key findings for the discussion, what are the article main points, and the dialogue history. And this is where this short and easy dialogue has ended. We have the ability to hide parts of the UI, like the article and the chat. And this is a demo of the interaction with our easiest and shortest type of dialogue that you can do with the dialogue platform. You can select the type of dialogue that you can do by this menu. You can see that by default it starts with a short coach. The short coach is a coach that promotes knowledge of media literacy. It tries to give you some advice on what are the manipulation tactics and what are the signs to detect these manipulation tactics, and tries to have a short interaction with the user. with easy to be answer questions. So in many cases the questions are even buttons with yes or no, and actually the questions are formulated in a way that can be answered briefly by the user. So it is intended for a user that has an initial first interaction with the Titan platform. Besides the short and easier with the user interaction codes, we have alternative codes. I'm going to demonstrate a second approach to the Titan dialogues, the agentic codes. So I'm going to the Titan menu and I select the agentic codes in order to switch to the agentic codes. Another type of codes. Let's try to load again the article. Let's also get the title. And let's start this conversation with this longer codes. So the attitude, the chat type that this coach is going to do with us is different from the previous one. It's going to follow, again, it's going to help us discuss the article with the coach, but it's going to follow a different approach. So the dialogue is going to be very different than the one that I have previously shown. Let's wait for the platform to analyze the article. Okay, we have the article. Let's close the article and focus on the coach. The coach greets us with hello, thanks for sharing the article excerpt. It's great to see your interest in diving deeper into the content. How can I help you with this article? I will write, I want to discuss whether I should consider it as trustworthy. So it asks us to consider the credibility of the author. I don't know the author. It has a question for us. What specific qualification or experience that the author of the main person cited in the article, Dr. Michael Michels, have that would make its claims reliable? Take a moment to consider what the article says about the background and how that might affect your trust in the information. What do you think? I don't know the author. I don't know his credibility. What evidence does the article provide about Dr. What qualifications and expertise and how might that influence your trust in his claim? You see that the questions are more difficult to answer in this type of dialogue, and it has a different strategy. It talks about the credibility of the source and make us think about whether we should trust the authors of the article and the persons named as authors, as authorities. What evidence does the article provide? Okay, let's write that it does not provide any evidence. It does not provide any evidence. Okay, yes, it provides some properties, it provides some skills, some qualifications. How reliable do you find the sources cited in the article, such as the United Nations, in supporting the claims made? I think that they are not related. These are mentioned as having a secret plot. Probably not very reliable. Considering the article portrays major organizations as part of a secret plot, it does raise questions about its reliability. To explore that further, here's a question for you. What signs of signals of manipulations or bias do you notice in the way the article presents its information and argument? Because I have knowledge from the previous codes that I have done a few times before getting involved with these codes, I know that this sounds like a conspiracy theory. So let's write that. It sounds like a conspiracy theory. So it gives us an encouragement. That's an important observation. The article's tone and claims do resemble characteristics of unfounded conspiracy theories. To deepen our analysis, here a question for you. What specific language or framing in the article suggests it might be trying to manipulate readers' emotions or beliefs? I have no idea. I have no idea. So you can already see that this dialogue is a longer in duration dialogue and requires for me to think about the aspects that the questions the chatbot raises. Here's a question to help you identify manipulation signals in the article. What words or phrases in the article seem designed to provoke strong emotions, create fear, or push a particular viewpoint rather than present balanced identification? Okay, I don't remember, so probably I have to bring again the article, try to read the article. Okay, let's take the title that says to destroy humanity. That vaccines will destroy humanity. That phrase is a strong example of emotionally charged language designed to provoke fear and alarm. To wrap up our analysis, here's a final question. Based on what we have discussed about the author's credibility, source reliability, and manipulation signals, how would you summarize your overall assessment of the trustworthiness of this article? Okay, probably not that reliable. That's a thoughtful conclusion given the lack of verifiable author credentials, the portrayal of major organization conspirators without evidence, and the emotionally charged language. It's reasonable to view the article as not very reliable. Would you like me to provide a brief summary of our discussion so far? Or is there another aspect of the article you want to explore? Let's provide the summary. Conclude the dialogue. Yes, provide the summary. So we have a fruitful discussion about the source and the people mentioned in there, and we have come to a conclusion. And here is a summary. The article claims that mRNA vaccines are going to destroy the world. The main cited expert is described as a molecular geneticist and immunologist, but the article does not provide concrete evidence or verified credentials to support the authority. The article provides major reputable organizations as conspirators without credible evidence, which undermines its reliability, and the language uses emotional charge and fear-inducing, such as phrases like destroy humanity and ticking time bomb. Okay, he'll pick up another phrase from the document, which are typically manipulation signals. Overall, this factor suggests the article is not very trustworthy and resembles a conspiracy theory rather than a balanced evidence-based report, and proposes to continue the dialogue further, but I think it's enough for the demo. We have seen example of both dialogues. The chatbot components of the Titan platform are also packaged in a different form. They are packaged also as a browser plugin, a web plugin you can put inside your browser. You can have it for popular browsers like Chrome, Firefox and Edge. Here I'm using Edge and I have installed the plugin. The plugin can be activated directly on the web page, so this makes it easy to access the document because it has been already loaded in your browser. For example, here I have a web page. I can start the plugin. Here I am greeted with a welcome page, a quick start page that allows me to select which type of the dialogue I want to have with. So I have the quick analysis and the in-depth analysis, which correspond to the short and the agentic codes. And I can press this button to analyze the page. So again, it passes the same analysis phase as before. The web browser plugin does not require you to authenticate. It does not need an account. It does not store any information. You can just apply on a page you want to analyze. We can see that again the dialogue has started. Let's see the inoculation, let's see the information that it has to give us. Okay, let's start to analyze the document as before. We can see that it has highlighted some elements from the document, and now it wants to discuss about polarization. Again, it gives us some information about what polarization is, how we can detect things. Let's enlarge a little bit the fonts. The lists signals that we can use in order to detect polarization, and it asks us a question as before: does the article portray the opposing side as immoral, corrupt or dangerous? Yes, it does. Here I can use also voice recognition, so let's try that. Yes, it does. So again, we can have a dialogue, both dialogues, and we can proceed. We have received our encouragement, and then we proceed to a second thing to discuss. It discusses about conspiracy theories. It lists the signals, and we can proceed with the question, would you like to discuss about this information signal? Yes. Okay, let's move on then. Does it claim that powerful groups are secretly planning something behind our backs? Yes, for sure. And we can proceed with our dialogue. Does it mention that the secret plot is planning to harm or deceive the public for their own benefit? Yes, it does, but let's not reply. Let's stop the dialogue. Because we now know about the article, we have analyzed it 3 times, and it provides again the summary and what we have achieved so far. We have the verdict should be read with considerable caution. While it presents information, it heavily relies on claims from a single source and employs manipulation techniques such as polarization and conspiracy theory. It lacks concrete evidence and presents a biased perspective, making unreliable as a sole source of information. So this is a plugin. It has some more functionality like summarizing a page. We can go there and see what is important about this article, especially if it is in a different language that I don't understand, so I can get a summary. And it has some more functionalities. Install the plugin in your browser. You can write dialogue assistant in your browser plugin store. I'm going to provide some links at the end of the video where to download this plugin and play with it. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.